Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Srinivasan, Mr. Subramaniam, Mr. Raman, and Mr. Ganapathy, I must say it's a singular privilege to have been asked to be the keynote speaker here at a seminar with a subject as profound as excellence. I completely agree with Mr. Srinivasan's sentiment about the inadequacy he seemed to feel about his presence here, and I echo the same sentiment. But I'm worried for two people here today. One, myself, because I sense, and I have been sensing for the last 1 month, a great sense of inadequacy about standing here and speaking about excellence, because it presupposes excellence on my part, which, ladies and gentlemen, is far from the truth. The other person I'm extremely concerned about today is Mr. Subramaniam. He has built a formidable reputation for his excellence in judgment. I fear that at the end of my speech this morning, that reputation of his is going to come under some serious scrutiny by all of you. However, Mr. Subramaniam, I'm glad that I could share the fact that you are going to have a few moments of nervousness before I conclude here this morning. As I was preparing for the speech, I stumbled upon a line by someone, it's an anonymous person, but it seemed to echo my feelings so accurately. It said, "A true gentleman does not preach about his beliefs until he does so by his actions." Now, I certainly claim to be a gentleman, so I will not preach, ladies and gentlemen. It is a subject which I'm going to root from the perspective of what I've seen in my life. As you've heard in the introduction, I've been a civil servant and I've been an entrepreneur, and I've seen a few things. And excellence, I'll come to it in greater detail, has been one of them. But that is the perspective from which I'm going to engage with all of you this morning on the subject of excellence. So I'm going to engage your hearts a lot more than your minds. Mr. Raman's survey, Mr. Subramaniam's recap of what today's session is going to be is definitely going to engage your minds. But my story, or my version, my take on excellence is going to engage your hearts. And the first proposition I place here before all of you is that my journey has been long in the quest for excellence. It's been long and arduous. My courtship of it has been intermittent and frantic. Whenever it has been there, it's been frantic, but not a continuous one. It has been intermittent. As a result, I have found excellence to be a very difficult lady to court. I have found her to be very elusive, and I'm still a soul lost or still searching in this journey. That's the underpinning of my conversation with all of you here this morning. So where do I go from there? I have to make a claim along with the admission. The claim is that ever since I started my journey of life as an adult in a career, I have always sought to move away from mediocrity in whatever I do. It's been an overriding persuasion in my life. Mediocrity is something I've never been able to accept. So I've been pushing and pushing away from it. The question is, have I achieved the destination which I had in my mind, or I have in my mind? The answer is no. But I do claim that I have never allowed myself to be sucked in by the lazy seduction of being mediocre. So with that claim and that admission, I'll now outline what I think is excellence, and I'm going to describe it rather than define it, because I think a definition could be could limit it too much, so I'm going to describe what I think is excellence. But before I do that, all of you sitting at the back and all of you whom I'm able to see, brace yourselves for a moment of truth. Because after I tell you what I think is excellence, I'm going to engage with all of you, and I'm going to take a quick poll. The poll will be by a show of hands, and for those of you, I request no modesty or humility. Just go ahead and join me in that poll. I'm telling you now so you can be prepared for it in a few moments. and when I come to it. So how do I see excellence? Excellence to me is the infinite pursuit of small incremental standards in the everyday things you do in the pursuit of your goals. It's the infinite pursuit, small incremental standards in the everyday things you do. It's not big ticket, it's not a clashing innovation which, like an iPod or something which catches the attention of the whole world, makes people sit up. No. It's small, it's everyday, it is the pursuit of that. Excellence, or a drive towards it, ladies and gentlemen, has to be anchored in passion, deep passion, and relentless focus. As I said, excellence is a jealous mistress. She will not tolerate a wavering of your attention. It has got to be relentless focus, and it is an eternal quest. Somebody said this, one of the speakers here. I completely agree that it is an eternal quest. It is not a summit which you climb, conquer, and then vacate or get down from. It is an eternal summit in whose quest you go in search for summits yet uncharted, summits yet unconquered. So these elements are what I describe to be excellence, and it is in the breach of one of them or several of them at different points of my journey is what describes, or what perhaps makes true the fact that it is not such an easy objective. So that, I believe, if I presume that most of you are broadly in agreement with what I've described as excellence, I'm going to put my poll here. So those of you here who believe that you belong to my kind of journey, where I think excellence is definitely a sought after definite goal, but have not really reached that zone of excellence, I request a show of hands. I'm certainly one of them. Oh, thank you. That's an overwhelming number of hands. I feel very safe now. And please don't be, the modesty, as I said, is not required. Those of you here, ladies and gentlemen, who believe and who actually have attained their zone of excellence in their quest, I request a show of hands. Now, this can't be. It can't be that there's not a single hand. Please don't be, there's no need to be humble about this. Anyway, if that's what the case is, then I think the perspective for the seminar here today is very clearly framed. And it baffles me, because this is not the first time I've taken such a poll on a subject such as excellence. And let me be honest here, I pretty much anticipated the response. And it baffles me. All of you here are very talented individuals. You're managers in your organizations, you're leaders, perhaps of teams. And so am I. But it's remarkable that all of us with so much talent have been on this quest for excellence, but have failed to achieve it, or have failed to feel the sensation that they have arrived at the destination of excellence.